What do we as humans really know about squirrels? Sure, they're a part of our everyday lives, but what makes them interesting? This is Dave. To understand the lives of squirrels, we will be following Dave around through his daily activities. Dave, how do you feel about being on the show today? Producer, what am I supposed to do with that? Leave it in? Okay, well, let's see if we can get a proper interview. Dr. Smith, how do you feel about squirrels?
Squirrels?
Hmm?
I hate squirrels. I hate
Why?
squirrels. They just got bad attitudes. They destroy everything. They're vengeful and vindictive. They chew the wires in your car. They chew your pretty flowers. They don't give a crap about anything. They're not afraid of you. The squirrels are awful. I don't like them.
Okay, how do you feel about squirrels, Lydia?
I love squirrels. I think they're very cute, and I love seeing them around campus. And I've never hit one with my car. I will actually swerve out of the way rather than hit a squirrel with my car. And I'd love to have a pet squirrel. I love Thumbelina, the pet squirrel. She's very cute on TikTok, very chunky. Love squirrels.
Personally, I think they're really annoying. I once had some squirrels living up in our attic, and to me, they're just nuisances, and they just tear everything apart in their way. So I don't like them. What about you, Jake? Why?
I don't know. I hate them.
You just want to run them over all the time?
Harper, Christian, how do you feel about squirrels?
I love squirrels.
I think they're alright.
It seems that people really don't care too much for our squirrel friends. Dave, any thoughts? It seems they really don't understand squirrel culture at all. Dave seems to have a lot to say. Dave, where should we start? Here we have Dr. Sylvie Nutt to help Dave describe his family tree.
Hello friends, I'm your resident squirrel enthusiast, Dr. Sylvie Nutt.
As you can see, we have a lot of differentiation in the Rodentia family. Rats and mice have naked, floppy tails, and our Eastern Grey Squirrel friends, like Dave here, have these gorgeous fluffy tails.
Dave's cousins from out west don't have the same tails, and that has to do with where they live. They live in open fields in Kansas, whereas our current star, Dave, lives in a deciduous forest.
Though Dave's beautiful tail initially evolved to help him get around the treetops, Dave uses his tail for much more than just for balancing on branches and electrical wires. Our squirrel friends here are common in temperate forests of the northern hemisphere and feed mainly on seeds, nuts, plants, and sometimes bird eggs. Arboreal taxa exhibit morphological adaptations such as extremities for grasping as well as tails, which help in the aid of locomotion.
Arboreal mammals, especially squirrels, specifically have longer tails that help them navigate the trees as they jump from limb to limb.
As Dave demonstrated earlier, arboreal squirrels have evolved secondary functions of their tails: communication, defense, and temperature regulation. First, let's talk about talk.
But not really, because although squirrels use auditory communication, they use body language as well, and that's what we're going to be talking about. Tail talk.
Wait, who's that? That's squirrel number 2? Why didn't we name the second squirrel? Oh, here's a message from the producer. Squirrel number 2 agreed to be a part of the film as long as they remained anonymous. Wait, are we sure we really want to include that? Why didn't we just name the squirrel?
Eastern Grey Squirrels, Squirrus carolinensis, use both the curvature of their tail to communicate confidence and agitation, The amount of tail bent communicates the amount of fear, whereas they use tail position to communicate aggression and submissiveness. Squirrels with their tails held lower are more dominant, aggressive squirrels, and squirrels with higher raised tails are more submissive, flightier squirrels.
Who knew you could tell so much about a squirrel from just the position of their tail?
Actually, this mechanism is a fairly universal trait across tailed mammals. It has been studied more in canines, specifically dogs, as they live amongst us and we want to be able to understand their body language more. But the position of the tail is only the tip of the squirrel talk iceberg. Now comes the interesting stuff. Flagging behavior. But first, we need to talk about why squirrels flag to understand what they're saying.
We will now see how the presence of a circling hawk will most likely trigger a defense mechanism in our squirrel, Dave.
The cool thing about Dave is that he is primarily using tail flagging.
A highly specific tail movement to communicate danger, to warn squirrel number 2 of the presence of a threat. Eastern Grey Squirrels do use vocalizations to communicate danger as a fallback precaution. However, flagging can be seen by squirrels further away. Any sort of physical acknowledgement of a predator can come with its risks. The predator could become aware of the squirrel's presence if it wasn't before. Contrarily, the alert could serve as a predator deterrent, as the majority of predators rely on stealth to grab their prey.
Who knew? I guess we do something similar when we wave our arms. Though I think humans get their message across a lot quicker by yelling, "Fire!"
You'd think so, but doesn't screaming and yelling, "Fire!" really actually attract more of the predator's attention to you?
Yes, I guess you're right. Alright, looking back at my list, we have one more secondary adaptation of the squirrel tail that isn't related to communication at all.
Temperature regulation.
Temperature regulation via the squirrel tail has not been readily studied. In our literature sources, food stores and body fat reserves are subject to more speculation than our squirrel friends' glorious tails.
To further science, we could propose a study to see how squirrels fare in the winter months without the fluffiness of their tails, and to not take into account the ability of the fluff on their tails to help them traverse the trees. But us squirrel experts have not yet found conclusive evidence to support the hypothesis that squirrels use their tails to affect their thermoregulatory systems. Give me a grant.
Essentially, having an Eastern Grey Squirrel tail is like having a built-in balancing tool, a flag for long-distance communication, and possibly a furry scarf for when it gets cold. After learning all of this, how do you feel about squirrels now?
Squirrels?
Mm-hmm.
They're so cool.
So cool.
I love squirrels.
How do you feel about squirrels now?
I still love them.
Squirrels are cool.
I now know so much about squirrels.
Me too.
Well, that about wraps it up with Dave and his tail. See what I did there? So now, when you walk around most of the United States, keep your eyes peeled for our Eastern Grey Squirrels. They're always watching you.
They should really give me a grant. You know, we don't know if squirrels can use their tails like Arctic foxes use them. You know how they use them like a scarf? Yeah. I mean, there are other things with the tail too. Like, what if we could like chop a squirrel's tail off, right? And what if you cut the tip of a tail squirrel off, right? And it could grow back, like kind of like our fingertips. Or maybe, what if the squirrel's tail could like wriggle around still? And I wonder how their balance would be affected. Because we know it could be, yeah. Squirrels' tails are used for balance. Back to the thermoregulation thing. Like, nobody studied it. Nobody studied it. I could study it. Nobody else likes squirrels. It's just me. It's just me. Yeah. And like, what if there was something like, what if humans had squirrel tails? What would people use squirrel tails for? Now that's a question. Because, like, we don't have lots of hair like squirrels. And, yeah. It would probably be pretty useless for us. But what if? Anyways, yeah. But squirrels are the superior species. They're the superior species. They can take over so many different places, and they don't even have wings like our pigeons. We didn't domesticate them. You know how pigeons can live anywhere we can live? Yeah, we did that to them. But squirrels, they did it for themselves. They're self-made. Unlike freaking pigeons. Why do people like birds anyways? They're so dumb. You know what they should call bird feeders? Squirrel feeders. Because you know who actually uses the food? Squirrels. People get upset that they go into your house and like chew everything. Well, like, what are they supposed to chew on? We're deforesting everything. Where are they supposed to go? Not in your house? That's dumb. It's really dumb. Wouldn't you rather have a squirrel in your house than a rat? Like, think about the rats, right? Rats eat so much more and they're so much more destructive. And can you get diseases from squirrels? Nobody knows because they don't study them. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But yeah. I should get some grants.
Squirrels, squirrels, squirrels. Our eyes are beady and bright, with fur that's red and fluffy. Look, our tail is such a sight. We're always in a hurry. We scamper here, we scamper there, and love to climb the trees. When we get right to the top, there's so much we can see. Squirrels, squirrels, squirrels. Squirrels, squirrels, squirrels.